Next I have on the list the board member briefings. For a couple of weeks we actually met either one-on-one or two-on-one, or not two-on-one, but we had a couple of people come in at a time, and those were very productive. You know, we got a lot of valuable information from those, so we really thank you for taking the time to do that. The website, I'm going to have John Hickman come up next, and he's going to talk a little bit about the website.
Thank you very much. I will be very brief. We launched a new website shortly after the beginning of Phase 2 of PACT, and since June 15th, the day after we were here till today, we have had 1,164 unique visitors. Those are unique individuals that have gone to the website. 61%, or about 710 of those folks, are new. So since we began the community engagement process, we know that about 710 new people have come to the website. The video has been streamed on that website about 107 times. And via the website, if you want to go there, you can actually find, I just put it up before I came to the meeting today, you can find every speaking opportunity that the Listeners Bureaus went to, the time and the date that it was scheduled for. Additionally, about a third of the feedback that we've received, I believe, if my math is correct, came via an online form from the website, and people were also able to request speakers come to their community organization from the website too. So it seems to have worked pretty well. Additionally, we left all of the content that was there from all the community engagement sessions and all the feedback and stuff is actually now, we moved it to a different address, but it's also online and available, and there's a link from the current website to the original website too. So everything's there, it's fully transparent, and it's been there since kind of day one. So anyway, thanks.
Yeah, every time we did a speaking engagement, we always plugged the website because there's so much information there. And in the brochure, I mean, it was a wonderful brochure, but it didn't have all of the information. So we always kind of reverted, you know, got them back to the website to get the rest of the information. We also did a tracking survey, and there were other things that we did along the way. I also want to thank Lisa Gray because she helped me with the Listeners Bureau because whenever I would schedule, she was the one who would send out the reminders. Unless it was John, and then I just did it personally. Keep him on mind. And then I also want to thank Charisse because she's done a remarkable job with everything that we've kind of tasked her with. So I really do appreciate that. Okay, on to the next slide. We have PACT 2, what we've learned. And like I said, you've got all of this information in your notebook, but these are some highlights. So 4 phases. We heard over and over again, it's just too long. It's going to take too much time. We want to see results quicker. We want to see results now. Air conditioning. I knew it was important, but I did not realize that it was a top priority. And when people saw that some of the schools were not going to be air conditioned in phase 1, they were not happy. So I'm really glad that they spoke up, and we will see later that we have moved air conditioning up in the plan so that everyone can be comfortable. Early childhood education, time and time again, people were, that is a must. We have to have that. When you have 52% of your kids coming in to kindergarten and they're not prepared, we just can't have it. So that was another huge thing that we really, was really important. 6th grade to middle school, very positive. I had so many stories about that one. We have, you know, anywhere from grandparents saying that, you know, their grandkids are in 6th grade and quite frankly, they're just too mature to be in the elementary schools anymore. Then we also hear from the teachers. I was just at a school the other night, and there happened to be a 6th grade teacher there, and I said, well, what do you think? And she said, I'm ready to go. And that wasn't the first time I heard that from staff. So very, very positive information there. So we were really happy to hear about that. Cost, everyone really, you know, the concern is always with the cost. But in your brochures, you'll remember that little purple section. And basically you had what it was going to cost to be status quo, what it was going to cost to keep all 23, and to implement the plan that was presented. Most people said that it was basically a no-brainer, that to implement the plan was that much more expensive, and we would come out with a lot more than just maintaining status quo. So that was loud and clear. Special education was another huge thing that we heard a lot about. John and I did our very first presentation back in August, and one of the men just basically looked at us and he just said, "Shame on us." He said, "You know, these kids need to be taken care of." And when we were talking about that there are schools where you can't turn the lights and the computer on at the same time about blowing a breaker, he said, "Shame on us. We should be stepping up and doing what's right for these kids." So for our first presentation, it made me feel really good that we were off on the right track. Older schools, you know, people want to keep some of that architecture. They don't want us to take away all of their old buildings. But really, with what we have proposed, we're keeping like 80, 85, almost 90% of the schools that we currently have. So it's not like we're trying to take away all of it. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Okay, what we've learned, timing. Time and time again, people were asking, how soon can we get this voted on? How soon can we start? I actually last week had more than one person ask, when can we break ground? And so we have to get this approved first. Technology, another huge thing. People really know the importance of that because our kids are not only competing with kids here in America, they're competing globally. So we have to keep up on that. Bodie Middle School, we had a few people that said that they didn't want that building retired. Flood zone, they don't want to spend any more money in the flood zone. They didn't think that that would be frugal of us or wise of us to do so. So we listened to that. Midtown, we want to ensure that the quality facilities for that area, we want to make sure that those kids aren't being, or that they are being taken care of. So we want to do that. Redistricting, we heard this time and time again that people are concerned. There's a lot of people that are still not happy about when we redistricted last time, and they're very happy that with the way we've proposed the plan, that the children are probably only going to have to maybe move once in their elementary career. So that reassured them tremendously, so they were really happy about that. Construction, keep it local. We have got to put our people back to work. We have talented people here. We need to get them back to work. This would be our own little, what do I want to say? Our stimulus package, that's what I'm thinking of. So, almost $90 million, if that's what we go with, that's quite a boom for our community. We want to, hoping for the future. We think that with all of this construction, everything that's going on, we're putting a spotlight on education. We know that that's going to bring new businesses into St. Joe. And I love the restaurants, but I think we need some more substantial jobs than restaurants. So I'm hoping that we will continue to, people will take us seriously whenever they're looking at us in the future for bringing their business here. Our community economy, we just want to spur, and we want to help turn it around. And I think that we're in a position where we can actually make a difference for this whole community with the start of this plan. And this would be your legacy if we could turn this around and make the community a stronger place. Because I get really, really frustrated when people say, if you want all of that, send your kids down south. I'm sorry, but our kids are worth it. And I don't want to be the one to tell them that they're not worth it. So anyway, that concludes my portion. I have Kevin.
Thank you, Lori. So, appreciate you being with us tonight. What a great symbol. You guys can keep the eye on what's important right here. This plan is good for educating our kids. That's the important thing to keep in mind. What we've done, you'll see as we go, this has been great for educating our kids. So that's what we're all about. I mean, that's what Dr. Hill came and told us, that we needed to have educational excellence being the focus of whatever we do. And I greatly appreciate you'll hear from Sam Johnson here in a moment. You've seen Sam many times. But with Sam's help, we came up with PACT 2 goals. From whatever we heard, what Lori said we learned, we took those and we said, okay, what are the goals to help rework the plan? True it up is our new word we've been using. So what we did was come up with what are the goals from what we heard to help make the plan better. to make it even better for kids. First thing is we wanted to address early childhood. That's what we gave Sam to do. We wanted to make sure the downtown was addressed. We wanted to make sure air conditioning was included in all buildings at phase 1. And we wanted to move kids as few times as possible, only once if we can. We wanted to make sure we had the costs. We heard from the community about preference in 6th grade, but did it make financial sense? So we challenged them to come forward with that information. One of the goals was don't spend money in a floodplain. One thing was to remain cost effective or improve cost efficiencies. One thing that I pushed him a few times on things. Man, we picked this apart. Can we do this? Can we do it this way? And he kept coming back to, was it great for educational excellence? And was it economical? And he could show us each and every time, yeah, we could do this, do a smaller amount or do something this way, but it'll only cost you another $5 million, type of thing, of upfront money. And so time and time again, we made him prove up that this was the best for the taxpayer, as long as it was good for educational excellence. And because he specializes in schools, he got it. And he kept us focused on that. So, structure the progress in 3 phases in 10 years, big challenge. We had this going on for many, many years, and we heard very clearly from the community that we needed to get in and we need to do something now. You can't go 60 years without major improvements in your community and spend another 20 years, basically what we're proposing, trying to catch up. We'll get further behind. And as he'll tell you, costs just get more expensive every year. The plan needs to be simple to understand, and he's done that. And again, we said it first and we'll say it last. It's about maintaining educational excellence. Everything was done with the benchmark of making sure the kids have the best environment to learn in. Whether that be air quality, not just air conditioning, but air quality of heating and cooling, whether it be light, whether it be adequate space. He always kept his eye on the ball for that. So it's my pleasure to turn over to Sam Johnson, and he'll go through the tweaks we made to make this a great plan for our kids.
Thanks, Kevin. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here again and to present the revisions to the Comprehensive Educational Facility Master Plan that have developed in response to the PACT process. All right. We like to start with this slide because it reminds us of the goals that we set for the development of any master plan for the future. It had to be twofold. Any plan has to develop educational excellence, an environment that supports educational excellence. And, as important, it needs to be educationally efficient, cost-effective. We need the balance of those two. So tonight I'm going to present changes, revisions, the next evolution of this master plan, if you will. What hasn't changed is the goals of this process. What also hasn't changed is the ability of the plan that we're presenting tonight to meet these goals. In fact, it's my opinion that having now been informed with the broader impact or broader information from community engagement, that it's a better plan for the St. Joseph School District. One of the things that you see, the first big change is that it goes from 4 phases to 3 phases. But the configuration, the final configuration of the plan remains the same. That being that there are 12 grade K-5 elementary schools, 5, 6, 8 middle schools, and 3, 9, 12 high schools. You'll recall this is the same outcome of the original draft master plan. The elementary schools are sized to be between 400 and 600 students. You'll remember that during the PACT planning process, this was one of the efforts that was taken where Franklin Hill led the charge. He worked with educators in the district, and that was the target elementary enrollment. It was, I say that it's modest by national standards. Some would say ideal. In the end, the largest school that's planned is about 570 students. None of them get up to 600. So modest size for elementary schools. Again, I'd say the same thing for middle schools. 550 middle schools is modest by national standards. And then the grade schools remain, the high schools remain the same capacity that they are today.